Over the course of a year, the coffee commodity market, the C market, can fluctuate, just like any commodity, like oil, like orange juice. The fluctuations typically happen within a few cents to, let's say, 20 to 40% of the market price. What they're typically dictated by is supply and demand. If the largest coffee producers in the world say that they have a lot of coffee, that they have more coffee than there is demand for coffee or projected demand, then the coffee price, the C market price, can go down. Now, the C market price essentially dictates what is generally considered and usually used as the bottom floor price for coffee, meaning that if I wanted to buy coffee from Brazil at the cheapest possible rate, which is the highest producer of coffee in the world, Brazil is the largest producer of coffee in the world, then the C market would tell me what price I'm going to pay, basically. Red Rooster doesn't buy that coffee. Red Rooster does not buy the cheapest coffee in the world. Red Rooster buys the most expensive coffee in the world, frankly. The top 1% of coffee in the world. And that coffee is set by using the floor of the C market plus a price differential, which is usually based on quality. What we buy is based on quality. So the price differential in many cases is based on the country of origin, the quality of the coffee that you're going to buy, the producer that you're going to buy it from, and a relationship that you have with the producer over time. For example, we purchased this coffee when the C market was somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.50. We paid closer to $9 a pound for this coffee. Why did we pay $9 a pound for this coffee? Because it's exceptional. Because there are only 6 or 7 bags of it available in the world, and we bought one of them. So we're very happy to be able to get our hands on that bag of coffee, and we're very happy to pay $9 a pound for this kind of quality. And I'm very happy to be drinking it right now. Let's go back to the C market. Today, as we speak, right now, March 18th, the C market is at about 380, 381. When we started in business in 2010, the C market was at about $1.10. Now, the C market does not care about fairness. The C market does not care about people's feelings. The C market only cares about supply and demand and what people will pay. And what that means is for many, many years, for most of the time that we've been in business, the C market has fluctuated between underpaying coffee producers for their work and labor and just paying them enough to give them a sense of hope so that they will continue to produce coffee. Now, in many countries, the cost to produce coffee is greater than the C market price if that price is hovering somewhere between $1 and $1.25. Oftentimes, the price of production in a country like El Salvador, which doesn't have a great infrastructure and has exporting issues, will be closer to like $1.80. And for many years, the coffee C market was hovering around 120, and producers in El Salvador were losing money. In many cases, with every pound of coffee that they produce, they were losing money. This problem is one that specialty coffee roasters are very familiar with. And specialty coffee roasters aspire, in most cases, certainly in Red Rooster's case, to try and solve this problem by paying high quality premiums, by making sure that we're paying several times over the price that's set by the C market, and making sure the producers would make $3, $4, $5 a pound for really exceptional coffee. You probably noticed that coffee prices are going up today, that everywhere You look from Reuters to Business Insider to Forbes to the Wall Street Journal, there are articles about how the price of production is going up. The coffee commodity market is going up. Why is that? Why is coffee price going up today? The main answer is, again, supply and demand. There is a major drought in Brazil. There's a major drought in Vietnam. The drought was so severe that it actually damaged coffee trees. Nobody really knows just yet how much they damaged coffee trees, but production went down. Supply went down in the two largest coffee producing nations in the world, Brazil and Vietnam. Meanwhile, demand is ever growing. Demand in the United States is growing. Demand in Europe is growing. Demand in Asia is growing. Demand in China is growing. And if China ever decided, as a country as a whole, that they were going to drink as much coffee as Europeans, the demand would be almost out of control. So while demand goes up, supply goes down, coffee commodity price goes up. Coffee prices on the commodity market have been extremely volatile over the past year. They've gone all the way from about $1.50 to over $4, with the highest being about $4.30, whereas today it's about $3.81. But no one really knows whether or not it's going to settle. So the volatility is extreme, and there doesn't seem to be a current end in sight, because the damage done to the trees in Brazil and Vietnam is unknown, meaning that no one knows what the production will be like in 2025 or 2026. And if production is down, then volatility could continue and prices could go up. Coffee is traded in multiple different ways. Coffee is traded from a sort of in an A to B sense when it comes to operations like Red Rooster, which is to say that we buy coffee from a series of small importers who we work very closely with, and they buy coffee from producers who work with exporters. And so we buy coffee, we roast the coffee, we sell it to the consumer. But there are those entities and individuals who buy coffee as a speculation, that they buy coffee futures. They buy containers worth of coffee based on the idea that the coffee will go up in or down in price, and that they will sell the coffee for a profit or make a profit on the price differential between the future price that they purchased it at and what the actual price is when that future comes to date. The fact is there are two different ways that coffee is purchased and sold. One is a one-to-one relationship that is consumer-based, that has to do with a manufacturing relationship like any other. You buy the raw material, you produce it, and you sell it to the consumer. The other is speculative and involves futures and differentials and involves large quantities of coffee. And over the course of the past year, we've actually had a seesaw effect of futures traders buying coffee and predicting that the coffee price will go up and holding on to that asset as if it were gold. Because if they buy it at $3 and the price goes up to $3.50, well, if they hold on to it until the price is at $4, they've made that much more of a profit. The same is true for exporters and producers up to a point where they can hold on to that coffee and make more money if they hold on to the coffee until the price goes up, as they should, because they want to make money. Then there comes a point, and this is a wrinkle that I think a lot of people don't understand about the way that coffee is produced and the way that the coffee market works at origin, which is that most producers borrow money year over year in order to produce coffee, in order to farm coffee. They borrow money from banks who exist for that purpose, to loan money to producers, to loan money to coffee farmers. They cultivate the coffee, they pick the coffee, they process the coffee, they sell the coffee, they pay the bank back, and they keep the difference as their profit. They're paying interest in order to make sure that they have enough cash to actually produce the coffee. If a producer needs to pay the bank back, it doesn't matter what the market is at. They need to sell their coffee in order to pay the bank. So this year, we've had the most dramatic seesaw back and forth between people holding coffee and waiting for the price to go up and not selling it so that they could sell the coffee at the highest possible price, and then suddenly needing to sell all their coffee so that they could pay the bank back, so that they could start picking again, start processing again, and have a product to export for 2025. And we've just watched that go back and forth. It's affected price volatility, and it's just affected the emotions of producers and of roasters. In many ways, this is the year of the comeuppance for roasters who lived for many years off of the backs of cheap coffee from producers and made money. In a certain way, made money off of the backs of producers who were not making as much as they should for the amount of work that goes into creating an extremely high quality product. The work that happens at origin is many months long in terms of picking coffee, processing coffee, milling coffee, and exporting coffee, compared to the work that roasters do, which frankly takes about 15 minutes to roast that coffee. And then in the case of Red Rooster, we can roast and fill all of our orders in one day and start it all over again the next day. So one can't exist without the other. They are equally important to the process of getting coffee to the consumer. As much as it is painful, we're also in a period of finding equilibrium, both in a monetary sense and maybe in a sort of like structural sense for how coffee gets from the place of origin to the consumer.